Welcome back to another fishing adventure. It's early in the morning, 6 something, I don't know. It's going to be a scorcher today. Forecast has like 108, so we get a couple hours of fishing done before it gets too stupid out here. Right now the temps are in the mid 70s, but the humidity is like 96%, so it's not very comfortable. It's really sticky. It's like being in a sauna. And these are almond flavored tiger nuts today, and they're slimy. I can barely reach the water to wash my hands. I'm gonna have to walk out there today, I suppose. Water levels are down everywhere. It's been, I don't know how many weeks since we had a decent rain. As usual with these early morning sessions, pack bait was made the night before. And I think this consists of oats, sweet feed, a can of whole kernel corn, and some vanilla, and some water just to moisten it up. I think it's going to need more water. It looks a little dry. Yeah, too crumbly. I got to add some more water. I might as well just embrace the reality here and walk out into the water. I'm going to end up doing it eventually anyway. Just a few handfuls of water. There we go. Beauty. Yeah, this carp bait, pack bait stuff isn't rocket science. If it's too dry, just add a little bit of water. Wait a couple minutes. If it's too wet, add a little bit more dried ingredients. Wait a couple minutes. It just takes some experimentation and experience, some trial and error to figure out, what the right consistency is for the bait. Because I want it to stay on the feeder until it reaches the bottom of the lake, wherever it is I'm putting it. So I don't want it to fly off the feeder on the cast, and I don't want it to explode into a bunch of little bits when it hits the surface of the water. So it needs to be tough enough to survive those two things and make it down to the bottom. And I don't think it necessarily needs to break apart once it's on the bottom. I know there are people that fish with different kinds of paste that do very well, and I don't think the carp care. They root around in the bottom all the time. They would have no problem hitting this with their nose and breaking it apart to eat it. We'll see what kind of fish I catch today, if I do catch fish. I brought my fish cleaning tools along. This might be a catch and cook if I feel like it. And you can kind of tell if your bait's exploding when it hits the surface. Just watch real closely when it hits the surface. And if you see a big cloud around where your bait landed, then chances are most of your bait has come off the feeder. Sometimes it's impossible to tell though if the water's dirty or if there's a chop on the water, and you can't see that either. So the sun just peeked out over the horizon there. This is my favorite spot for early morning fishing because the sun is at my back in the morning here. Mostly at my back. I think that one might have exploded. This is pretty shallow where I'm fishing here. 4 or 5 feet of water, I'm estimating. I guess one way to see if your bait is exploded is, when you cast this big ball of bait out there, when it hits the water, this mushroom of, this jet of water comes up. Your bait hits the water and the reaction is not a jet, but just a plume of water, comes up about a foot off the surface. If you see that is all full of your bait, then that'll give you a clue, I guess. And if your bait does explode when it hits the surface of the water, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world either, because if you think about what's probably happening there, okay, your bait hits the surface of the water and sinks probably not straight down. It kind of, if you're putting tension on the line, it probably falls back towards you a little bit as it sinks. But, so your bait hits the bottom first, and then so your hook bait and your sinker are laying there, and then there's this rain of all your pack bait that's filtering down, so blanketing that area where your hook bait is laying. So that's what I'm visualizing, is the hook bait's laying there, and there's just kind of a light blanket of the pack bait around it. So that's still a pretty decent fishing setup. That's going to attract a fish too. That's probably what happened with my second one, and I'm going to leave it for a little while. I'm not too concerned about it. I think it'll be okay. Yeah, that was the middle one that I think the bait exploded on impact. So we'll see which one catches a fish first. Okay, first fish on, and it's not a dink. It's probably only been about 15 minutes, I think. I was thinking about how hot it is and how hot the water is. I went out there. I mean, it's water and air temperature seem to be pretty close to the same thing right now. Water's warm. Doesn't give a chilling effect at all. Really trying to keep this fish off to the right. This is not the middle line that exploded on casting. This is the one on the right. I'm gonna go out and get him a little bit because it's super shallow right here. Okay. Nice. Oh. Gosh, how could the timing be better? As soon as I get that fish in the net, the other one takes off. This is the middle one. As soon as that fish went in the net, and this one takes off, I'm gonna get this fish back out into the water so that fish can hang out in the net right there while I bring in this fellow. Probably going to result in some line tangles with, netting two fish like this with both attached to the line, but you got to pick one or the other. If I just let this fish run while I brought this other fish up on the mat and unhooked him and stuff, chances are the second fish would find a tree or something to wrap the line around and get snagged that way. So this is the way I usually choose to do it. Works out most of the time. Come on in. Okay, two fish in the net. One is bigger than the other. This one's a little bit bigger. This one is going to come home with me. This one's going back. Tiger nuts right there. Bottom lip. And get this other hook out of the equation here too. Yeah, starting out the day with a double. This is the larger fish of the two. Both of them are pretty small, but I don't know. Now that I look at them, I think I'm going to keep both of them actually. This is probably a 5-6 pound fish, and the other one's a little bit smaller. Yeah, I'm going to keep both these fish. It's going to be a catch and cook, folks. Yeah, here's the second one. A little bit smaller. This is probably a 4 pound fish. I think these are going to be a good size for eating. Yeah, they're really not significantly different in size, so I'm going to keep them both. Yeah, 2 carp going on the stringer. I don't have a cooler with me, it's back in the truck, so they're going to stay alive until it's time to go. There they are. They'll just hang out here for a little bit. I'll fish a little bit longer. I put them a good 20 feet away from where I'm fishing here just so they can relax and not be freaking out the whole time because they're near me, and they won't get in the way of my catching other fish as well. So yeah, that second fish, I just wanted to point out, that second fish came on that middle rod. That was the one that I think the pack bait exploded on the cast. So, if your pack bait explodes on the cast, that doesn't mean all is lost and you necessarily need to reel it in and do it over. Well, my main goal this morning was to catch a couple of eater-sized fish to bring home and cook, because I want to try a couple different things cooking them. And that goal is checked off the list, but it's still early, not even 8 o'clock yet. I'm going to fish a little bit longer, at least until it becomes so uncomfortable that I don't want to stay anymore, I guess. But I'm not going to keep any more fish, just those two. That should be plenty for the cooking that I want to do. Well, it's been half an hour, no more bites, and the heat's really coming on. I'm going to get out of here. I got the fish I came for. Stay tuned, I'm going to take you back to my kitchen, cook these up. Okay, so here is the fillets from those 4 carp. I decided to do a fillet this time. Last time I tried making this, I left the meat on the bone, and I'm trying something different this time. This is a fillet, as you can see on the inside of the focus. As you can see on the inside of the meat, it's pretty pink, and then there's the outer skin side of the meat. There's all that red meat on the outside. And I've got 4 fillets, just like this. You know, as you can see, the carp are mostly scales and bones. They don't have a lot of meat on them. They have a huge rib cage. Down here is where the rib cage would be on this fillet, and there's just maybe like half a centimeter of thickness of meat on there, so I didn't even take that on these fish. Just got the main part of the fillet there. This is the tail end down here, and this is towards the head. So yeah, it doesn't. They don't have a lot of meat on them. Mostly scale and bone. And I'm not going to do anything about the Y bones here. There's Y bones interlaced in the meat, and I'm just going to leave them whole. Last time I made a bunch of scores in the meat to try and cut up the Y bones, and it didn't work that great, and it just made the Y bones smaller. So I think it'd just be easier just to pick them out and leave them whole. Yeah, I just kind of decided to just forego any of the kind of hokey methods of dealing with the bones, chopping them up, trying to, I don't know, there's a bunch of weird things that people try to do to get rid of the bones. And I was thinking, you know, we don't have any toddlers. We're not toddlers here. We can pick out bones. It's not a big deal. So that's what I'm doing today. And instead of frying these like I did last time, I'm going to bake them on this sheet with parchment paper. This is a meal that we make pretty frequently with like flounder or tilapia, and I'm just going to do the same meal that we usually do, except use the carp instead. And what I usually do is I take some oil and I'll spray a little bit on the parchment. It's probably not necessary because parchment is super slippery, but a little bit of oil on there. And then I'm just going to lay this fish skin side down on that parchment. And then I'm going to take my oil again. I'm going to spray some oil, just make a light coating oil on the top side of the fish here. That just keeps it from drying out in the oven. And then this is an Asian style meal that I'm making here tonight. So, and this is the seasoning I'm going to use. This is Japanese barbecue seasoning. It's got soy, ginger, and garlic. It's really good. It's good on other kinds of fish. I think it's going to be good on here too. Just a little sprinkle of this delicious seasoning on each fillet here. And that's going to be it. Just a real simple preparation. Like I said, I do this same preparation with flounder and tilapia, and it turns out great. That's what we're going to do for our dinner tonight. Also have some fresh green beans from the garden, and we're going to have some rice too. And I got the oven going at 400. I'm going to put these in the oven at 400 for probably 20-30 minutes. So yeah, I think I forgot to mention, I did bleed the fish before I cleaned them, and I didn't like soak the meat in anything or do anything to the meat. I just rinsed it with clean water, and it's just been sitting in the fridge overnight. So that's all I've done to the meat. All right, here's the fillets. They're looking pretty good. It smells really good. It's got the tops kind of browned up a little bit with the broiler for just a minute or two right at the end. And like I said, we're having that with some green beans and some rice. Go ahead and get this plated up and see how it tastes. Carp to start. Who else wants carp? The Y bones are still whole, so you should be able to pick them out real easy.
Oh yeah, I can see them like coming out the side.
I think if you just kind of start pulling the meat apart with your fork, it might. I've never done this before either, so.
get it figured out together. A little bit of teriyaki on the rice and the green beans. A little bit of Saigon sizzle sauce. So the real test is going to be to figure out exactly where the bones are and how to best remove them. Yep, there's a Y bone right there. They're pretty good sized, easy to pick out. Oh yeah, okay, you can feel them poking out right here.
If you do it slow, they stay whole.
So, yeah, it just came right out. Yeah, along this side here, I can feel the little ends of the bone sticking out. Just grab and pull. Comes right out. Okay, I've got some deboned. This looks really good. Smells good. Yeah, looks pretty good.
You okay?
Yeah.
Mmm. Tastes good.
Just gotta be careful you don't get a bone in there. I missed one.
Missed one?
Yeah.
I just had 3 bites with no bones. It tastes like... What kind of fish does it taste like?
I don't know.
Flounder?
Kind of tastes like flounder, I guess. Huh? Seems like if you leave the Y bones whole, they're not too difficult to just pull out. I think that's probably how this this fish was intended to be eaten by the people who were using it for a food fish. Henry put some soy sauce on his. Says it's pretty decent. Is it? But yeah, if you don't mind picking out some bones, it actually is pretty good. And I like it this way, baked. It's flaky. It smells good. It doesn't have a fishy taste any more than a flounder or tilapia. Well, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.
It's like nature's original toothpick.
Yeah, it comes with built-in toothpicks.
It works.